It's all unraveling. It's all unraveling.
Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling. Buckshots and middle fingers up to COVID. It's blood on their hands, so they owe it. Only the ones with no faith that take the vaccines. Step to me with it, I'ma make your back lean. We at the end, new Sodom and Gomorrah. Christ about to come and mop the floor up. Walking up in Louis V with your mask on. Check the me's, man, they about to get their blast on. Prophecy, interpretation, Isaiah 55:11, so it ain't no faking. Crack your dough, it's getting close. I'm here to tell you, just in case you didn't know. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling. Babylon got pregnant with a daughter. She introduced a new world order. She wicked as hell. If you try to feed the homeless, they take you to jail. And for that wicked heart of power, gon' send them to hell. We at the end, you still walking with your J's on. All that turn up getting fly, boy, them days gone. GMOs and our food we can barely eat. A cashless society, prepping for the beast. Moving along to Rex 84, Jade him, killing the body. If you wicked, you done. If you live your life in sin, that's a no, straight shot, no chaser, just in case you don't know. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling.
What they done? Yeah. It's all unraveling. Hey, I would like to welcome you to the podcast. And these are your hosts. Share your show. And like, hey, yo, yeah. Safa. Hey, you know me. Roshan.
Judah King.
All right. Shalom. We are at the beginning of a new week. This is Monday, March 8, 2021. And we would like to welcome you to the Truth Be Told Flex Podcast, Season 1, Episode 5. Once again, we find ourselves at the bottom and the tail. What's going on, brothers? How we doing?
Shalom.
Trust we had a good week last week, good Sabbath, everything?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Already. Y'all praises to the Most High.
I was supposed to go there like, yeah, what I like to remember, but I don't want the audience to think nothing different of me.
All right then. Well, let's get right on to it, man. Oh, go ahead, Roshan.
No, I was just gonna say, me myself, I'm just happy to be back with you guys, and all praises be to the Most High.
It is a blessing, man. It is a blessing every Monday. I look forward to this. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And one of the things that we talked about, that it is a success, right? I'm hearing good things about the show that we're doing, so we're just going to keep adding to it. But here we are again. This is episode 5. This is our 5th time coming together. Brother Eliyahu, he may be joining us a little bit later. Hopefully, he will be able to. If not, we're going to keep it rolling as go. But once again, we find ourselves at the bottom and the tail. We're going to mix up. We're going to bring out current events, and we're going to match them up with the word of the Most High. With that, you will be able to see who the word of the Most High called the children of Israel. Because the curses that are in the Bible, it does not fit nobody else but us. If you guys can mute the phones, the mics, you guys can mute those mics. Good deal. All right, we in. All right, our first topic for the night, February 27, 2021, New York City officials came together in support of the Asian community, and this is what Mayor Blasio had to say. Check this out.
We will not accept hatred in New York City. Stop Asian hate. This is the message we have to get out, not just in New York City, but all over this country. Stop Asian hate. Stop it now. We saw a man killed in San Francisco. Killed for walking down a street because of who he was, because this hatred has been built and fomented and led from Washington, D.C., from the White House of Donald Trump. That's what has been done to this country. People told to hate each other in a crisis where we need each other. And we need to love each other and support each other. We will not allow hatred in New York City, and that is not just a statement of good intention. Anyone who commits an act of hatred against the Asian American community will be found, will be arrested, will be prosecuted. That is what we need. We have to show people we mean business. We have to change how we educate this entire community. Because when you hear voices trying to blame Asian Americans for the crisis we're all in, that is wrong. It is unacceptable. And we will fight it. We will fight it in our schools with a curriculum that teaches respect for Asian Americans and all they've done to build this city and this country. We will do it every day in our words and our deeds. And everyone, this must end. And every community needs to stand with the Asian community right now. Because if Asian Americans are being attacked, every single one of us is vulnerable. This hate doesn't stop with one group, it spreads to every group. History has taught us that over and over again. So brothers and sisters, together we will stop Asian hate. Together we will stop Asian hate once and for all in this city and in this nation. Thank you. Keep fighting. God bless you all.
All right, brothers. If you bear with me, I got a lot to say to start this show off, okay? So just bear with me. And I promise I'm going to give you guys your time needed for this. But this one here touched me in a special way, and you're going to find out why. Stop Asian hate is the message we must get out over all this country. That's what Mayor Blasio said. De Blasio also referenced an Asian being killed in San Francisco simply for walking down the street because he was an Asian. He also stated, and I quote, "Anyone who commits an act of hatred against the Asian community will be," and I quote it, "found, will be arrested, and will be prosecuted." Another point here, Mayor de Blasio asked for every community to stand with the Asian community right now. This enraged me, brothers. And I'm going to tell you why. Where was the Asian community or any other community February 26, 2012, when Trayvon Martin was killed? Where was the Asian community or any other community July 17, 2014, when Eric Garner was killed? Where was the Asian community or any other community August 9, 2014, when Michael Brown was killed? July 13, 2015, Sandra Bland killed. Or even July 6, 2016, when Philando Castile was killed. And these are recent dates because August 28th, 1955, a kid by the name of Emmett Till was beaten unrecognizable simply because he was black. So once again, we find ourselves at the bottom and the tail. We're told when we talk about what happened to us to get over it, while at the same time, we are told to come together in support of the Asians. Bible prophecy again proves to be right. Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. Thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him, and he shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Panel, I'm asking you guys this question. Is this not America showing blatant disrespect to a people that has suffered racial trauma for over 400 years to stand with the Asian community who may be suffering racial violence for what? At least 12 months now? Why is it that we and everybody else need to come together to support the Asians when we are strange fruit hanging on populous trees? Go ahead, brothers.
Lord have mercy, man. That video did stir me up. That video, and all I could think of was the young sister who was killed in the '90s by an Asian, and sparked the riot, part of the riot in Los Angeles. She was shot in the head, paying for her orange juice, turned around, and the woman got off. And sorry, Sheer, if you gonna touch on that, man, but that yeah, that Joker said we all need to come together. America Asian artist was hanging in the background while he was talking with an Asian in front of the flag or the panel. But we have been on the bottom for so long, but we set the trailblaze of equality. But everybody reap off of it. And for them to sit there and say, let's form together with Asians, and I don't want to be out of pocket when I say this, but Gentiles stick together. Gentiles, they stick together no matter what. But we seem to have an issue with sticking together, and they know how to keep the devices going so we can't stick together and allow them to hold the fort down for one another. And we need to stop this. This is hatred. This is I get news articles every day just in Cedar Hill by itself on who got gunned down in Oak Cliff in Texas and somewhere in this area at least. And I ain't seen on my TV innocent people standing up, innocent people getting killed in a rally stands up for them. But yeah, that video. Yeah, it was something else. Go ahead, Roshan, man. I'm heated off of that one.
You got it. Okay. Well, well, I'll tell you what the irony is behind this video, and this is just going to be some harsh truth, but you know, unfortunately, if our people actually saw this video, a lot of us would actually be in support of this. See, because we don't know who we are as a people, right? We since Martin Luther King has came on the scene, his message was heavily about equality, when we know the Bible speaks against equality, right? And that's just the fact of the matter. It's sad to know that, unfortunately, our people would be, they would be for this. They would be right there. Hey, let's stop, killing, Asians, and they would be right there. But when it comes to our own people, nobody is marching. Nobody is saying, hey, let's stop killing each other. But we'll be there for another nation, which brings me to this scripture, Psalms 83 and 4. And it says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So the very people that we would go to defend, these are the same people that have joined hands with the other nations and said, let's cut these people off, so they won't even be remembered at all. But these are the people that we would stick up for. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The same people that we would run to and say, hey, stop killing these people. These are actually the people who come to our sections, set up shop with poisons, food poisons, and kill us every day. Right? It says the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab, because that's who we're talking about, and the Hagarines. So, I'll stop there.
Yeah, man. It's amazing that you mentioned a couple of things, but why can't we stand up for one another? What's the issue with that? Maybe y'all can leave comments on answering. What's the issue and why we can't come together? With Deuteronomy 2:8 says, united, we will fight together, but we will separate and run. We will flee different ways when it comes down to it. We do stand up, and then a couple of other videos that I saw on that was uh, it was some of us in the community saying we're not going to have this in our community. And they showed the same clip over and over. This one old Asian man getting knocked out. You ask me, this is just my personal opinion on that video. It was set up so that's the red carpet. Let's just play this video of this Asian person and another Asian person getting beat up, so we can start this campaign and get everybody riled up on this. When we are going through and we are suffering, but there's nothing set up to show that we need to fight for these people who's been struggling the longest in this land.
Exactly. I want to touch on something that you touched on, Safa, and there's a scripture in Jeremiah 30. I've read this a million times. It hit me a different way the other night when we were studying it. It says, this is Jeremiah 30 and verse 12. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. There is none to plead thy cause. This is the very thing that we're talking about right now. For over 400 years, we have been suffering over here. We are traumatized, man. If anybody got post-traumatic syndrome, it's us as black people. We have been traumatized over here, and we steadily getting traumatized, right? Who have you heard stand up for us? And every time we try to organize to stand up for ourselves, the same system, dismantle it. They break it down, right? To touch on what Oxafar was saying, it was March 16, 1991. A 15-year-old black girl by the name of Latasha Harlins was fatally shot by Soon J. Do, a 51-year-old Asian convenience store owner in Los Angeles. Do was tried and convicted of voluntary manslaughter. Please, audience, listen to this. In Harlan's death, although the jury recommended a sentence of 16 years, Judge Joyce Carlin sentenced Do to time served, 5 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, a $500 restitution, and funeral expenses. That's how much we are cared about over here. Where the mayor of New York would get up and get a rally together to stop Asian hate. When we've been hanging off trees like Christmas tree ornaments for over 400 years. No one will plead thy cause. The Most High said that. Why? He said, because the things that are happening to you, so-called Negro, I done those to you. We need to remember that. It's time for us to go into our music. We went a little bit overboard, but that's all right. We're about to hit this Karatazai Akkad. It's a new one. Fell in my lap this morning, man. All praises to the Most High. This here is Behind These Walls. Here we go.
Hinton spent 30 years in prison for his wrongful conviction.
He said, I don't care whether you did it or didn't do it, but I'm going to make sure you found guilty.
He wasn't convicted because he committed a crime. He was convicted because he was poor. North Carolina man sentenced to 80 years in prison for rape and burglary. 64-year-old Ronnie Long is his name. He has always said he was innocent.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
Kings and queens, leaders and priests, chosen few, Jesus is Jesus. Keep fighting, my brother. and sister, don't fold under pressure. Just keep your head up, got the heart of a lion. You daughters of Zion, though you walk through the fire, you gon' shine brighter than diamonds. You're so divine. Your love is high.
Don't let them tell you
Look,
different.
though you be locked away, gone astray, salvation is on the way. Get down your knees to pray, night and day, hear every word you say. There's power in the tongue, yeah, 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 yeah. They can't keep you forever. Honey, kings and queens, yeah. Leaders and priests, yeah. Chosen few, Jesus, Jesus. Empties in a clink, I can break it down and put a fact on that. Prison complexes, big business, fact check that and put a stack on that. Capitalism to the max on that. Free labor can't lack off that. They give them the guns and give us the drugs and got the nerve to call that black on black crime. It's amazing how they just package it up, twist it, remix it and blame it on us. Put us in cages and take us away, make us go crazy. What would you think if you took Willie and put him in tanks? He belongs in the ocean that flow with the boats. If you take him away, then he won't be the same. We are not animals, I cannot fathom the life that my brothers are living in. Slam us beyond these walls, they making us slaves, they turning us gay, they strip us away from our heritage. We want the kingdom of America, trust the most high, that's imperative. Believing you can still see miracles. Kings and queens, yeah. Leaders and priests, yeah. Chosen few, yeah. Jesus, Jesus.
All right. Hopefully, Roshan will join us in a minute. Our next topic is older black veterans getting the cocktail at a higher rate than the whites. And this is from a veteran data. And I'm going to bring up the article so it can be seen. I hate, there we go. Got it. Older black veterans getting COVID vaccine at a higher rate than whites, the VA shows, right? So this was an exerted effort, okay? A very exerted effort here. I'm going to take that down. I got the gist of the article. You guys read the article, right? So we know what the article is. We could discuss this article without that. I got all of those advertisements up there. But this was an exerted effort on the part of the Department of Veteran Affairs. The data provided by the Veteran Health Administration says that 34% of black veterans the age 75 years and older who use the veterans medical system have received the cocktail. That is higher than the 29% of white veterans and 31% of the Hispanic veterans in that same age category. The reason we have numbers like this, Safa and Roshan, is that it's because the cocktail was marketed to the black elderly veterans to ensure that they take the cocktail with little resistance. Last summer, before the cocktail was available, the VA held a listening session with blacks and minority veterans to get their advice on how to build trust to take the cocktail. Did you hear that? They had a listening session with the elderly veterans so that they can build their trust on how they could get them to take the cocktail. Now, my question is in two parts, okay? How can the same people who was willingly killing us less than 50 years ago in a medical experiment want us to believe that they are interested in saving our lives today with the medical experiment? The second part of that question is, how in the world could we forget that in fact it was these same people that killed us and watched us die with a medical experiment less than 50 years ago, and yet we're going to trust them and take their cocktail? I know you guys got something to say about this.
Oh yeah. I was thinking the same thing, man. And I'm pretty sure the people that was in the testing room were the same ones that got the little dot on their arm from the first cocktail testing they did. And before that, I always butcher this word. Sorry, but the Tuskegee, how you say it? I butcher that word.
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee. Yeah.
It's such an abomination. My tongue won't say it, but that experiment, we got the TB and the TG experiment going on with the same people. And Proverbs 3:31 says, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." But they have the children of Israel always up for an experiment. We are choosing the ways of the oppressor when we're not supposed to be choosing the ways of the oppressor. This new cocktail that they got out, and they know that we are so smart enough to not want to take it. So they're going to bring in our foreparents and so they could tell us what to do. They are so crafty in everything they do. They have always brought in our foreparents and said for them to tell us what to do, what to take. We should join them. We shouldn't join them. But it's never for our good on either way what they get our older veterans to do. And I pass it over to Sean.
Okay. I'm so glad you brought that scripture out, brother. Envy not thou oppressor, and choose not his ways, because that's huge. I think really when we think about um our elderly, being tricked into taking the cocktail, we have to start with Hosea 4:6, and I want to bring the scripture out. It says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children." So the reason why I wanted to bring that scripture out is because it's imperative for us not to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. It's imperative for us not to reject knowledge, because just like Aksafa just said, when we reject knowledge, then what we do is we'll choose the ways of people who are against us. For example, the other nations, and I'll specifically say Edom, or the white man, white woman. We understand, and we've understand for such a very long time, that these people don't like us. But what we haven't pieced together though? It's deeper than they just don't like us. We don't understand that they're our enemies. See, if we understood that they were our enemies, then we would not be choosing the ways of our enemies. I want to bring this scripture out. This is Sirach 12:10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness." So this is the thing. How will we be able to not trust our enemies if we don't know who our enemies are? We trust, we let these people persuade us into taking this cocktail, going in really thinking that Oh, well, they're really trying to find a security, you know, get us in a state to where we'll feel safe and we can trust them. No, that's your enemy playing tricks on you. That's your enemy being condescending and being deceptive. So if we understood that we have enemies in this world, then we would not be so quick to do what Aksafa said, choose the enemy's ways. Back over to you, Yeshu.
Excellent point. Excellent point, brothers. One thing that I learned when I came into a knowledge of who I was according to the scriptures was that the teachings of Christianity is set up to make us forget who our enemies are. One of you brothers can find it. It's in the book of Numbers, I know, where it tells us that Amalek will be our enemy to the very end. I can't exactly remember where that is at and how that is read right now, but if you get it, please let me know you got it so you can read that to the audience. We have enemies. And the question that I ask people all the time is, how will a lion look if he ever forget that a hyena is his enemy? No one has to tell him that a hyena is his enemy. He knows that. He come into this world knowing that. Every day of his life, he knows that, right? But we done got to a point over here that when we lost Jeremiah 17:4, when we lost knowledge of who we were, we also lost knowledge of who our enemy was. In the event that people need to be reminded, the Tuskegee Institute study, which began in 1932 and it was stopped in 1972, that's 40 years, where the Public Health Service secretly studied the impact of untreated syphilis on hundreds of black men and did not provide them a remedy, even when penicillin was approved to treat the infection. One thing that I would like to make note on that is that the government knew. This article here said that it was secretly known they was doing this in secret, but they wasn't. The government knew and the government refused to stop. They refused to step in and stop it. Okay? So this take us back to Mayor de Blasio calling for every community to step up and to protect the Asians when nobody would even step in and protect us for 40 years when they watching our people die from syphilis. And as a result of this study, many of our people died from complications stemming from syphilis, and their wives and children were also affected in this show, according to the Tuskegee University. So this was a planned out thing. It was planned from the very beginning. Psalms 83, the brother said it best. They have taken crafty counsel. They have consulted together with one consent. It's the same people. They the same people, and we the same people. This was less than 50 years ago. And I'm going to tell you something real ironic before we move on to our next. Have you noticed now that they done hit their 500,000 mark of deaths from the hangover? Now everything is starting to slow down and restrictions because they hit a milestone. So what's going to happen is we're about to move into phase 2 of this thing. Chess is slow and it's patient, but every move is deliberate. Every move is deliberate. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open.
Yeah,
Because as the brother said, one more thing, as the brothers both said, they are our enemy. And Christianity hate to hear anyone say that anybody is our enemy. Go ahead, you got 2 minutes, brother.
To back off of that, Psalms 83, they have said in Confederate, one of the things that they promise is Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 10 and 11. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spur the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
Con. All right, man. We're about to do a spotlight for a Hebrew owned business. Roshan, you know something about this before I play this little video clip, man? You got some words to say about it, brother?
Absolutely. This is Sister Veen. She is highly respected in the Hebrew community. Very, very diligent sister, beautiful spirit. And she has a apparel line as well. Beautiful, beautiful dresses for the sisters out there who are, being obedient unto the Most High by, being modest, continuing to wear modest apparel and things of that nature. And the name of her business is called Charassa's Closet. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Charassa's Closet. And, I think once we play the promotional video, it'll have her information there for you guys to check out and get in contact with her.
All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what we're going to do is we're going to get that information, and I'm going to make sure that we get that information put in the description. That way, if anybody want to get in touch with her, we're going to put that information in the description. Look like we lost Safa. Hopefully he'll be back. All right. Let's move on. Let's keep it going though, man. All right, our next line of business is this here, Mr. Roshan. Blacks are still far behind in building wealth, according to Black Investors Survey. This was an article that I found in Black Enterprise. I would pull it up. Let me see what that's looking like over here. Because all of those dadgum advertisements, we don't need all of that. Yup, it's the same thing here as well. So I'm not going to pull that article up, okay? We're just going to talk about it. I got some highlights from it, and we're gonna pull them out. We got our boy back. There he is. Welcome back, brother.
Yo, what's up, Aki? I don't know what happened, man. I was looking
All
for that
right,
scripture
then.
for you.
Okay, then I'll find it if I think about it before I leave. I know it's in numbers somewhere. I get it. But blacks are still far behind in building wealth, according to Black investors, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is an article from Black Enterprise, which points out how Black people continue to lag behind their white counterpart when it comes to building wealth. Building wealth. First off, are we familiar with how wealth is built? And what exactly is wealth? Most of us, especially us as so-called Negroes, we equate wealth with just having money. But wealth is ownership. This is what wealth really is. Wealth is ownership of land, property, and or businesses. Something that America has a history of playing keep away from us. familiar with a term called racial covenants? One of you guys, are y'all familiar with that term? Racial covenants were tools used by real estate developers to prevent people of color from buying or occupying property. Often just a few lines of a text. These inserted into warranty deeds across the country. These real estate contracts were powerful tools for segregation. So, in other words, real estate agencies and developers would come together with one consent. They will write up a covenant or a contract to make sure that people of color cannot buy houses or land. So that makes it pretty hard to build wealth, right? Off the top. What about redlining? Have you guys heard of redlining? Redlining is a discriminatory practice by which banks, insurance companies, and etc. refuse or limit loans, mortgages, insurance, and etc. within specific geographic areas, especially inner city neighborhoods. So now if banks, insurance companies took up crafty counsel to refuse people of color loans and mortgages or insurance, so now we can't buy homes, we can't buy land, we can't open up a business. Again, I ask, how can we keep up with the whites when it comes to building wealth? Here we are in 2021. I love it when I hear black people say things have gotten so much better. Talk to me, brothers.
Well, because I have the perfect scripture for that. But again, this goes back to the Bible, the one book that we run away from. See, the one book that we despise. Because we only equate the Bible to shining light on our darkness. And it definitely does that. But it's more to that, right? The Bible is also our blueprint to life, right? Salvation, success, right? So let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. And the scripture says, "And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways." Hold on. So we got to deal with that. So the Most High said that his chosen people, the children of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, that we will not prosper in any of our ways, right? And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. So, I mean, really, this is the only thing that we have to look to right here. Why are we still behind in building wealth? Because the Most High said we would be. The Most High said that we would not prosper in our ways. The Most High said that we would only be oppressed. Right? And see, what our people do is we'll look at LeBron James. We'll look at, Snoop Dogg. We'll look at all of these celebrities with money and we'll say, well, you're oppressed. I'm not oppressed. Going back to Hosea 4 and 6 again, because if we understood the Bible, we would also understood that there are other gods being worshipped in this earth. And there are other gods that are handing out blessings. So, and in closing, that's the answer to that question. Deuteronomy 28 and 29. Go ahead, Oxafa, my brother.
Yeah, same book, same chapter, brother. Read 16 and 17, if you don't mind, too, in that same one.
Absolutely. Let me read that. Deuteronomy 28, 16 and 17.
Yes.
All right, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 16. And it reads, "Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Con.
Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store.
Con. So we see right there, no matter what we doing on the land that's not ours, he said we're going to be cursed in that city. We're going to be cursed in that field. No matter if it's in the plantation field or the work field, no matter what field we in, we're going to constantly be cursed in it. Curse shall be thy basket and our store, our pockets and our means of getting what we need in our pockets. So we are a nation not desired. Our, our, our inheritance has been taken from us. No matter what, they have seek counsel, and we can't sit there and constantly keep saying why we don't have equality when we can read it in the scripture and find out why and what we need to do to change that over. I hand it back over to you, Sheer.
And real quick, real quick before you speak, my brother, if you don't mind. Now, we also have another curse. The brother eye shall be evil towards his brother. What does that do? Now I'm not willing to help you build wealth.
That's what we call hating on each other nowadays.
Exactly. Crabs in the bucket mentality. See, so these curses, they all around us, man. We can't get away from it.
Crab in the bucket. How do we get it? How do we get in the barrel in the first place, man? That's I always want to know.
What's the question?
How do we get in the barrel anyway? Crabs in the bucket and the barrel clawing. How did black folks end up in that barrel in the first place?
What? Go ahead, you shoot. Your mic is off.
My bad. We got in that barrel by the very ones who is our enemy, by the very same people whom we seem to protect more than we protect our own. I got into a conversation this week. I'm not going to be long with this. I got into a conversation this week with a young lady, and I stressed out facts after facts after facts with the hangover and with the cocktail. And every fact that I put out there, the young lady had a rebuttal with it, because that's the situation that we are in right now, right? I can tell you this, that if, and I use the lion and the hyena because people know that this is a very heated hatred that they have there in the jungle, right? And I use them to. Can you imagine the hyena bringing some food to a lion? Do you think that lion would eat what that hyena bring to it? No. It could very well be good food with good intentions, but the lion is not going to eat it. Why? Because the lion does not trust him. We trust the very people who have proven themselves over and over and over again that they have no good intentions towards us. Thank you, Oxapha, for bringing out Deuteronomy 28:16, because that's the very scripture that I have. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. This explains West Dallas and Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward. This explains Watts, California. This explains the Bronx and the boroughs there in New York. This explains all the ghettos and how all the ghettos are the same. This explains it because you have two different governmental functions that they have practiced for years to make sure that black people could not buy land or houses in order to build wealth. Now, with that being said, before I move on, these practices of racial covenant and redlining was created out of fear. Fear that if we were left alone and allowed to buy homes and lands and open businesses, we would be a people that would be above. We would be a people who were slaves that would be above our very slave owners. A known fact about Greenwood neighborhood there in Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 1921, fellas. The dollar circulated 36 to 100 times in that tight-knit community. I'm going to repeat that. The dollar in Greenwood neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 circulated 36 to 100 times in that tight-knit community. Like we lost Roshan. There he is. Welcome back, brother. Did you hear what I said about the dollar, brother?
I
Do I
did
need to
not.
repeat?
I did not because I
I'm
lost my
gonna
connection.
repeat that because it's so powerful. Okay. In 1921, in the neighborhood of Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, right, which was what is known today, famously known as Black Wall Street, the dollar circulated 36 to 100 times in that tightly knitted community. A single dollar might have stayed in Tulsa for almost a year before leaving the black community. Now, I want this here to sink in before I go any farther. That means that if we lived in that community, right, just the three of us and our families, right, that dollar is going to stay in that community for a year before it exit our community, which means that I'm going to send your kids to school, you going to send my kids to school, and we going to send his kids to school, and everybody else that's in that community. The dollar stayed at least 1 year before it exited that community. Comparatively, listen to these numbers here, Ox. In modern times, a dollar can circulate in an Asian community for a month, a Jewish community for 20 days, a white community for 17 days, but it leaves the modern day black community in 6 hours, according to reports from the NAACP. So we went from having a dollar stand in our neighborhoods for over a year to it leaving within 6 hours. So do you see why they was redlining us? Do you see why they was making up what is it called? I'm sorry. Racial covenants? Because if they left us alone, Ox, if they left us alone, do you not know where we would be? It was all because of fear. No community has ever had that type of accomplishment before or after. How great are people are we? And how feared are we that they got to make up laws to keep us down? But never forget though, like Oxify and Roshan said, the reason why ain't nobody speaking up for us is because of how you told us. Deuteronomy Chapter 28 and 16, that if you do not keep these laws, these curses will cleave to you. Nobody else fit the descriptions, man. Nobody else fit the descriptions. But before we move on, I got to give you Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 12, where it says, woe to him that builded a town with blood and established it a city with iniquity. America was built on nothing but blood. And America is nothing but a country that's full of iniquity. We got 6 minutes, brothers. 3 minutes apiece. Take us out of here.
Uh, I'm going to be quick, because you really made a huge point, brother Yeshub, and I didn't even really think about it like this until you just made your point. I was talking to a sister 2 years ago, and the sister was she has a really she has, what do you call it when someone is, they have a zeal to want to do better, to better themselves. Optimistic, that's the word I'm looking for. She was very optimistic, and she went to go get a house loan because she wanted to get her a house built. Now, one thing I noticed is they gave her the house loan. They gave her that. So then, on down the line, 6-7 months later, she went to go get a business loan. She got denied the business loan. So the same credit that got her the house loan, she wasn't able to use that same credit to get a business loan. Why is that? And it goes right back to what the brother just said, because they are afraid to see us do anything. If we talk about doing anything that would spread amongst our people to help us collectively come together to build, they don't want any parts of that, because they've seen it before with Black Wall Street. They know how great we were. They know how impactful that was. They don't want to see it again. Even if it's one person, they don't want to see it again. Go ahead, Aksafa.
Yeah, I don't have too much to close with, man, but because y'all both touched on some strong points. I just know the Most High said He's gonna laugh at our calamity if we continue to deal with other nations, and He's gonna mock us for it. So, as the book says, for the Most High and keep His commandments. That's the whole duty of man. It's the only way you can receive the tree of life. So, as a nation, and I'm still bugged out on them number a year, at least a year of the dollar, at least a year the dollar stayed in the community. That's the shortest they found. I wonder how long. What's the longest they found that the dollar stayed in our community? They don't want to post that. But yeah, that was amazing information that we brought out today. I got edified real good on it. I enjoyed the conversation with my ions. Hopefully, everybody outside that's listening got edified. Yeah, man, this was a beautiful show. I'm definitely gonna watch this one.
All praises, man. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I just to let you know, I was running the videos on a different platform today. I don't really like how I was running them today. I'm gonna go back to the original. Down a little bit, but everything still went well. The information was great, Roshan. It was good to see you, brother, as always. Can't wait to come back next week and to do it again. I found the verse that I was looking for, and I said it was in Numbers, but it's actually in Exodus chapter 17, 14 through 16. And it says, and Ahiah said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Moses built an altar and called the name of it Ahiah. And he said, because Ahiah has sworn that Ahiah will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. One thing that I learned, I got 2 minutes and I'm fit to say this real quick. One thing that I learned when the Most High allowed me to come from up under the strong delusions of this world was that it was not enough for me to realize that I was the children of Israel from the seed of Judah. I also had to learn who the heck this Amalek character was. Amalek is our natural enemy. Amalek has been our enemy from the very beginning, and Amalek is the very man that you so-called Negroes be protecting. And you will not receive that doctrine. You will not receive knowledge because you cannot take it from your brother. You'll rather hear from Amalek than from your own brother. And that's what makes Hosea 4 and 6 so powerful of a scripture. For my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, the Most High said, I will also reject thee. Brothers, it's been real. I enjoyed this. I pray that our podcast are not falling on deaf ears. We'll be back at this same time next week, next Monday. Anything you guys want to say real quick? You got about 30 seconds to say it. What you got?
I take 15 seconds of that, Safa. Only thing I want to say is subscribe. Subscribe to our channel, man. Please.
That's it. Nothing, Safa?
Oh no, I love everybody. We all one, as we found out in these clips and in these articles that we all just need to be one. We all need to be unified. Joe Osteen said this, so we all we all love one another. That's all I need to say, man.
Already, man. Let's get back to these laws that the Most High gave us as a people. This is us as a people want to be great. Take it from Shear Yeshub Judah here. The only way for us to be great as a nation is that we get back to the laws that the Most High gave us from the very beginning. He has something in store for us that our eyes cannot even imagine, our hearts cannot even imagine. Something way more beautiful than anything that you have ever seen in this earth. This is Shayir Yeshub Judah. We got Oxify and Roshan Judah. This is the Truth Be Told Flex podcast, and we are out of here.
It's all unraveling. No, it's all unraveling.
Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling. Buckshots and middle fingers up to COVID. It's blood on their hands, so they owe it. Only the ones with no faith will take the vaccines. Step to me with it, I'ma make your back lean. We at the end, new Sodom and Gomorrah. Christ about to come and mop the floor up. Walking up in Louis V with your mask on. Check the me's, man, they about to get their blast on. Prophecy, interpretation, Isaiah 55:11, so it ain't no faking. Crack your dough, it's getting close. I'm here to tell you, just in case you didn't know. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling. Babylon got pregnant with a daughter. She introduced a new world order. She wicked as hell. If you try to feed the homeless, they take you to jail. And for that wicked heart of power, gon' send them to hell. We at the end, you still walking with your J's on. All that turn up getting fly, boy, them days gone. GMOs and our food we can barely eat. A cashless society, prepping for the beast. Moving along to Rex 84, Jade Him, killing the body. If you wicked, you done. If you live your life in sin, that's a no, straight shot, no chaser, just in case you don't know. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close.
In case you didn't know,
No, it's all unraveling. Listen, man, in case you didn't know, no, it's almost getting close. In case you didn't know, no, it's all unraveling.
what they done? It's all unraveling. Hey, I would like to welcome you to the podcast. And these are your hosts,